Hey guys, what's up? Off Target here, and today we are going to talk about what if my YouTube logo was in a MMO setting game, but as a skill or a buff that somebody can cast. Let's dive right into it. Okay, so right here we have the shield. We got the logo right here in paint, the most artistic way of calculating things. So we have the logo right here, and we're going to use circles. We have a black outlines, different colors on the inside of this circles, and we're going to play like as if there were players, and I'll explain why that's essential here in a second. Alright, so first thing I want to do, I want to say this is probably going to be a buff. It's probably a buff that doesn't give you a defense boost, but rather stops negative effects from hitting you. Because I'm a very positive person, I feel like this is going to be more kindred to my character more so than anything else as a person. Character as a person, not character as in a game. Character as a person, and I feel like this is how you would cater more towards me a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the center point of this icon right here, and we're going to say that's a player right there. Okay. Now you might be confused why we have to mark that. Okay, so my idea is, so this might be a good skill, okay, for like a tank. So this is what I'm coming up with, right? So where the player is standing, we'll say that's yellow. Okay, this is a tank. We're gonna put, I'll use color red, dark red right here, and we'll just do this. This is a monster right here. We'll just do that. He's fighting against a monster right there, okay? Hell, just to convey this is a big monster, we'll just say it's a huge monster, right? Okay, he's just a huge deal, big monster of some sort, right? Anyway, so this is a big monster, all right? Who cares about the shapes, dudes? Okay, so the big monster. He casts this shield logo, right? Behind him, this is what I call the shield shadow, and maybe he might be a little too small, honestly. So we're going to increase the size just by a hair. Like, let's say, yeah, there we go. Let's say that's the normal player size in the game. He casts this, and a shield shadow, so to speak, right behind him. Anybody within that shield shadow, this whole entire vicinity of this shield logo, essentially, anybody standing in it behind him, including himself, gets the effects of the buff. Okay, so what is the effects of this buff? Well, let's increase the size here. Whoa, it's yellow. Let's undo that. Let's make that white again, and let's increase this. There we go. So what kind of effects are we going here? So again, roughly that's the size of a player. So we know that a player can go inside of it just like that. Another player, let's say he's right beside him. Let's say, oh god, it's kind of hard to get exact size and stuff, but it's roughly the same size. So it's another player in his circle, and in his facility behind him. So yeah, and that's way too big. Something like that. Anyways, so players can walk in through here and that kind of stuff. Now, the ability itself could potentially had been, what says not fills. It could have been roughly horizontal of the character, or it also could have been the small radius around a character, the effects of this ability. However, we are wanting it to where it creates like this imaginary shadow, so to speak, and anybody steps within this boundary gets the effects of the skill when it's casted. Now, obviously, you won't get the effects if you walk in there late. It's not like an area that you can walk through, get it, walk out, and still have it. It's once it's casted, anybody within the facility of this space here gets the effects. Okay, so of course the caster himself and anybody who walks behind him. Now again, I say this might be a really good tank build, a really good tank skill, because I feel like let's have some more people behind him, because I feel hold a second here. Where's my fill? Where's my fill? I removed it. Where's my fill? There it is. All right. And we had another player right here. He's in the party also. He just kind of like stepped into the circle. It's like, hey guys, what's up? Okay, so. Alright, so this is kind of like the area effect. Again, this is the player who cast it right here. Of course, he's not going to be gray, but he's the one that cast it. And then all these people right here, okay, we're not going to keep that like that, are all people who walked into the effect zone in which he casted it. I hope I'm making myself sense. I hope I'm making sense. himself and anybody who walked into the bubble behind him essentially gets the effects. He's a tank. He's fighting against a monster, and all these people and himself got the effects. It's kind of like he raised the morale of him and his teammates, essentially facing off against this monster. That's kind of like what the idea is. This guy, he's moraling his team together. We'll add another guy in here. He kind of just showed up late. There we go. He pulled up in here. He's like, "Yo, what's up? I want the effect too." Now this might be too big of a shield shadow. Maybe a shield shadow could be. Well, let's get a quick square here, without the fill again. All right. So let's say it's like, let's say the shield's about this big, right? The shield shadow is slightly smaller. Maybe this is a little too much up in here, but you get the idea. This is the kind of like the effect zone a little bit of where this would happen at, but within the shield shadow, of course. What is the effects of the what does it trigger? What does it do? A lot of people want to know this kind of stuff, and should I type it? It's too big of a text. Nah, we're not gonna type that. For 15 seconds. There we go. All right. So the effects will last for 15 seconds. That's something I think be good for the game. What is the effects though? All right. Because he's a tank, he's defending against damage, but I don't want to be like a defense boost. I don't want to be just a resistance boost. I feel like those things are pretty generic. I also feel like most classes cover these things. And while there's classes that remove debuffs, there's actually not a protection skill typically that stops debuffs from touching you. So this feels like a good defensive maneuver skill to stop debuffs, be immune to debuffing for a very 15 seconds, like a short period of time. So yeah, there we go. Immunity to debuffing. It doesn't sound too powerful. Just immunity towards debuffing, and you only got 15 seconds of it. Let's say also all debuffing. Just to simplify it, all debuffing, which means like bosses, regular monsters, poison, all debuffing. We're just gonna go hit just hitting hard on the head a little bit here. We're going straight for it. We're gonna make immunity to debuffing, all debuffing. So okay, so that seems pretty logical. So basically, when this shield shadow get casted, whoever's stepping in within the shadow at that time, they all get the effect, and of course it doesn't stay there. It just boom happens. Who's in the shadow, who's in that effect range, gets it, including the caster. There you go, the tank, essentially. Voice chat, like a Discord call, you know when to step behind him because he might say, "Hey guys, I'm about to cast it." And you guys are like, "Okay, sure, hop behind there, get the effect." I'll hop out from behind him or stay behind him because he might cast it again in the future because it's only 15 seconds. It's, he has to recast it. And they get the immunity to debuffing and all debuffing across the board with 15 seconds. I don't know if you guys would play MMOs, but 15 seconds. It's a long time. It's actually like an effect for 15 seconds. It's reasonable. It's actually not a long time, but it's a reasonable time for combat. It's actually very reasonable. I said for cooldown, you have to put like a 50-second cooldown on this thing, like almost a minute. And every second feels like a lifetime. I'm not kidding. When you're mid MMO fighting, you're pressing your keybinds, you're trying to get all your best skills in and that kind of stuff. A second of waiting, actually 7 seconds of waiting, 8 seconds of waiting for a skill feels forever. It feels forever. Like you're like, man, I really want to use that skill right now because it'd be kind of convenient. So I say another thing for this type of a skill, it would have to have easily 50 seconds of cooldown, like almost a minute. This is a pretty good skill. I mean, you're immune to debuffing, but not just any debuffing, but all debuffing. This includes player versus player debuffing, fucking bosses debuffing, poison from monsters debuffing. All debuffing in general will be affected, and it lasts 15 seconds. And it is not removing debuffs. That's something very important thing. It's not removing debuffs. It's not a skill to cast, oh, my friend got disease, I cast this spell, now their disease is gone. No, it doesn't do that. The idea is immunity towards debuffing, to future debuffing. From MMO to MMO, a developer could say, oh, it also speeds up the current debuffs though by 2 seconds or 5 seconds. Like speed the little timer, speeds it up by a hair, to make current debuffs not last as long. That's okay. That's not too bad. But it doesn't actually create the action to remove debuffs, as that would be an OP skill. Like that'd be broken. Imagine cast this skill here, removes all debuffs of anybody in your party, and then suddenly you're immune to debuffing in general for like 15-20 seconds. That's insane. Okay, so it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't remove current debuffs. So doesn't remove current debuffs from players. So that's something very important. It doesn't remove current debuffs from players. It's just immune to debuffing, albeit debuffing of the future, like future sense of debuffing. Also, it will have something like a 50-second cooldown. Like it has to have a massive cooldown. So we'll put 50 seconds cooldown. I feel like that's how that's going to happen. It'll be like almost a minute before you can do it again. But for 15 seconds of combat though, you're not going to get debuffed by anything, not even from bosses. Like that's actually pretty cool. Like that'd be a pretty strong skill. Alright, so a quick recap here. What we're talking about here and what we're doing here is for 15 seconds this effect lasts. What's the effect? Is immunity towards debuffing and all debuffing of the game on players who are within the shield shadow, or the effect zone. Essentially the caster and everybody who's in the effect zone all get the effect. And the effect zone is actually shaped like the logo. It's actually a shield shape. It's not a circle, it's not a square, it's actually behind the tank. He's facing off a big monster here. We'll use the cursor. He's fighting off a big monster here. Here's the tank, and he casts this effect. It pops behind him, and anybody who's within that effect gets immunity. Oh shit, I messed that up, but that was highlighting. Immunity to debuffing, and all debuffing. It doesn't remove current debuffs. So if you have a debuff already, you're getting poisoned or diseased or you're slow or whatever it be, you don't get those removes. Those are not, it doesn't play in that card. Because there are going to be skills already pre-existing that removes, the goal is to remove current debuffs. Alright? Again, this just prevents future debuffing for you and your party members who are within behind you, kind of like you're like moraleing your troops. It's kind of like moraleing up your troops, making it's like a positive effect. As I said before, I'm a positive character, positive person. So it's kind of like falls along with my type of character trait. And then after it is triggered, after the effect is done, after the 15 seconds are up, it does a 50-second cooldown. 50-second cooldown. Now, okay, so let's see here. So 15 seconds it goes through, the effect does, and then it waits 50 seconds to do the cooldown. 1550. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Play on words there. But if, like I said before, technically a company could. Let's put a little thing here. We're not put a line. Devs could. This is not a have to thing for the skill. Speed current debuffs by 2 to 5 seconds. Parentheses again, as stating, it is an optional effect. It is not something that's required. Oh shit. Anyways, devs could. It says devs could, guys. I don't know if you can see that. Devs could. We'll try to fix this. I don't know if we could. I don't know if we could. Or devs could. Well, what the hell? Alright. Devs could. Anyways, that says devs could. It looks weird. But devs could. Devs could speed current debuffs by 2 to 5 seconds, optional. So if your character is already affected by disease, it has like 8 seconds to go, and then you cast a spell. Your friend casts a spell. You stand behind them, and then your disease is now 2 seconds less. So it takes a second for the casting. So we're talking about 8 seconds remaining, 1 ray falling off while it's being casted, and then 2 because of the effect, and you still got to wait, your last 4 or 5 seconds for the rest of that debuff to take place. This is an effect idea that they could implement if they wanted to. This is not something I would say actually standard of the effect of the shield itself, but this right here, I think this is good. 15 seconds for the effect. Effect lasts 15 seconds. You have immunity to all upcoming debuffing, all debuffs, including bosses, player versus player debuffing, mobs. Is actually a very good PvP skill too, even not just tanking against a giant boss. It doesn't remove current debuffs from players. That's not the goal of it, and it has like a 50-second cooldown while creating this shield shadow, and by stepping within the effect zone of it. So Bob the Builder is standing right here, and if some people stand behind him, they all will get hit by the effect. If they're standing beside him, they wouldn't. If they're standing in front of him, they wouldn't. It's not like a radius of circle in front of them or horizontal. It'd be like a straight back effect. It's kind of like a cape, really, effect. It's my shield shadow is what I call it. I think this is well done. I think this, if any game developer were wanting a new effect for, like, let's say a late level, real late level tank, like a level 90 tank skill, I think this will fit right in, like 85, 90 around there. Again, it'd be great for tanking bosses, big mobs, and that kind of stuff, because you can temporarily remove, not remove, but stop debuffing from happening to you and your team for a short period of time, and then you have a long cooldown before you can do it again. And again, like, the goal is not to remove debuffs. And if developers really think it should have some kind of effect on the current debuffs that are sitting there, because it's kind of like battling against debuffs, and maybe speed up debuffs, speed them up by 2 to 5 seconds, depending on what the direction the developers want to go with that. But as an optional effect, not actually a necessary effect to the shield itself. Again, it is like you're casting your positivity to your teammates, and you're moraling your troops to fight against this monster, a big boss or whatever it is, and your archers, your spellcasters in the back got the effect, your healers got the effect, or any rogue or warrior hiding behind you temporarily before going to fight, they also got the effect. But they're standing beside you or in front of you, or like this range, they're not going to get the effect because they're not within the shield shadow. I think that's the best way to. That'd be the best way I would do the if my logo was a MMO skill, I think it would be a debuff preventer rather than a debuff remover, and it wouldn't be a defense raise, and it wouldn't be a resistance raise skill either. Definitely a tank skill. Also, it's nice too that my logo has a T in it for target, but T for tank. It actually would go really well with that too. I think this is actually a groundbreaking skill here. MMO developers, hit me up my messages. We gotta talk about this. This is actually a good idea. What the hell? This works out really well. We got a tank, target. We got my positivity. I like being a very positive person, and this is like casting positivity onto your teams, and it's just like it works really well. I think this is a great MMO skill, and I think a lot of MMOs should implement something like this. Again, it stops future debuffing, not removes them. It prevents it. That's the skill. 15 seconds of effect, which means you're basically like wearing a debuff condom essentially, and then it goes off, and you wait 50 seconds before you can put it back on. Of course, you don't like used ones. You prefer getting a new cast. God, that sounded awful. Anyways, tell me what you guys think in the comment. I think this is a really cool idea. Again, I created this off in Paint by just looking at my logo and opening up my computer, and I see this logo staring at me, and I was like, man, that would make a great MMO skill icon. And then I was like, man, what if it was a skill icon though? So tell me what you guys think about that in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Appreciate you guys 100%. And yeah, check out my next content, guys. Bunch of videos and streams to come. And no, for real though, tell me in the comments what you think about the skill. I think it'd be really cool.